Hello you beautiful people, and welcome to Gaming Through the Years, where we take a look back at older games that deserve some lovin'. Or
games that deserve to be hit with a sledgehammer pissed on before disposing of the game in the most remote area you know, where it will not be fit to harm a human being.
Now, I consider myself an optimistic reviewer. Even if I don't like the game personally, I always try to see the positives that it might have for someone else.
Unfortunately, my optimism decided to pack its bags and run for the hills far away.
Why, you ask? Well, I decided to play a PlayStation 1 game called Critical Combat, or CritiCom for short. Now I'm questioning my sanity.
CritiCom is a 3D fighter that released way back in 1995 in the USA and released in 1996 for Japan and Europe. It even got a release for the Sega Saturn in 1997, and it was developed by Kronos Digital Entertainment, who is no longer among the gaming developing world. I wonder why. The game did have a tight schedule of only 6 months for it to be completed, and having found that out, I can start to see why my time with this game was so horribly unpleasant. Now, credit where credit is due. The game starts out with a rather good looking FMV that delivers an interesting premise, even if it is deceptive and makes it look like some sort of war game. Basically, there's this thing called the relic that is immensely powerful and was used to subjugate other races. However, the relic is stolen after a long time of peace, and basically warriors go out in search of the relic to gain its power. The big problem with this opening honestly has to be the voiceover, which is so droll and uninspiring that it kinda takes away from the FMV and makes it seem boring, even with explosions happening on screen. And then they keep the same dull as dishwasher voice to relay the stories of the characters when they are introduced. It's a damn shame, because these cutscenes are nice to look at for a game that came out in 1995. Some of the character designs look interesting, but most are simply decent or bland to lay your eyes on. This is the best the game has to offer. Its FMVs are downright solid. Yet the rest of the presentation didn't even receive a fraction of the same effort. Look at this title screen. Look at it! But that's only an wincy problem in this mess of a game. Let's dive in deep and see where this game goes horribly wrong, to the point of calling it a disaster would be a compliment of the highest degree. And that is the gameplay. This game seems to do everything wrong, from controls that don't seem to pick up your input half the time, and when they do, it feels like every hit took an extra second or two for your character to actually attack. You have a handful of attacks with punches and kicks corresponding to their own buttons, and if you are hoping to create a combo out of them, then you are sadly mistaken. There are no combos. The attacks are slow and sluggish and honestly lack any impact whatsoever. Everything in this game is so bloody slow that it makes fights agonizingly painful to endure. You have special attacks which each character has, which correlates to the shoulder buttons of R1 and R2. The problem is the game doesn't inform you of this, and it has no way to check the move list in the game. And if that isn't bad enough, certain characters might only use R1 or R2, and they have to be used with other buttons in order for the move to work. Otherwise your character stands there with his thumb up his ass. So, if you have to be careful when you're using them, because if you hold R1 and you press triangle and it's not an input for a special move, not even your basic attack will work. Luckily, I have the trusty manual for this game, which has the moveset of all characters. However, it still gets worse. The camera. The goddamn camera is the worst I've ever seen in a fighting game before. It has a mind of its own, and it can circle around when the fight takes place, meaning at certain points, your directional buttons can change instantly, and instead of a blocking, you can walk straight into an attack. Whip-de-f***do! There's a dodge function in this game that is beyond broken, to the point that you can hit your enemy before they even start to evade, yet still somehow miss. The sad truth this creates is that you'll have to spam one move simply to win fights, because let me tell you, the AI isn't that easy to beat. Doesn't help that nearly all attacks in this game do so little damage that you'll be lucky to actually get your opponent's health bar down to 0. And that reminds me, you have 2 health bars. As if the game didn't feel sluggish and excruciatingly mind-numbing already, the fact that most fights are won by a timeout, or if you get lucky a ring out, just makes the game a sad excuse for a fighting game. Had it been 1 health bar, at least the pace of the fights would have been better and a hell of a lot more bearable. Then there's the fact that the objective of this game is to... I actually haven't the faintest idea. Once you win a fight, you simply are brought back to the tournament mode character select screen. There doesn't seem to be a goal to reach. And if there is, I simply couldn't hack the game any longer to find out. From reading the manual, there's apparently a level 2 that gives you a few extra moves. As to how to unlock this level 2, your guess is as good as mine. All the stages are circular in design and are all the same except for a slightly different coat of paint, which makes the game feel even more lifeless. Like, how did they look at this uncontrollable fire of pure rubbish and go, this is good enough, lads? My mind is baffled at how this game came to be. It simply doesn't make sense. This game has functions. When you press buttons, sometimes they do something. But this is an unplayable frustration. It's so bad, so very bad. It's so terribly bad that it made me question if I want to be a gamer anymore. It nearly undid all the goodwill I had towards gaming as a whole. There's a 2-player option, but even I'm not cruel enough to subject another human being to the atrocity of pure anguish and unfathomable desperation this game can induce. It's just so bad. And here's the kicker. If you decide to stumble into 2-player option by yourself, you're going to have a near impossible time getting back to the main menu, because there is no back button. Let that sink in now. You can't escape the 2-player mode because no button exists to do so. Who in the name of holy hell allowed that to happen? I simply can't understand. Like, what the hell is going on? The music for this game exists. That's about as much as I can say about it. So thoroughly bland that it really doesn't add much to the game, yet fails to drag the game even further into the sheer disaster this game concocted. Perhaps my incredibly horrific time spent playing the game has jaded me to the point that even if there was any positives the game has to offer, I simply can't see them. And you know what? I don't care, because this game is very bad. To me, it's the equivalent of having every known and unknown disease being injected into your body and having to live with it for the rest of your life. This game can't even save itself with the phrase so bad it's good. It's just pure bad, yet somehow this game got sequels. How?
So, that's CritiCom. Honestly, the worst game I've ever played. It's just so bad.
If by some chance you see this game, I suggest you turn on your heels, go to the bathroom, get soap and scrub your eyes until the image of the game is washed away forever.
CritiCom never deserves to see the light of day. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go and have something nice to eat, but I doubt that will even cheer me up at all. This has been Pat Carey from the Republic of Players, and if there's a next time, I'll see you then. Well, at least it can't get any worse, right? Hello!